So a couple of days ago, at the leaders' debate, Sunak pretty much bull-rushed the whole event with his lie about a £2,000 Labour tax rise. Following day, it was debunked and proven to be a lie, yet because it wasn't shut down immediately, it might have got a little bit of cut-through. However, what political gains he might have got, well, that's just been completely blown out the water by what he did yesterday. So yesterday was D-Day. It's the 80th anniversary of the D-Day landings on the Normandy beaches. Sunak, according to reports, wasn't actually going to attend. I mean, that's right, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom wasn't even going to go, according to the French authorities. David Cameron was there, by the sound of it. He was probably going to be his stand-in. However, he obviously realised that that wouldn't look good, so he agreed to a shortened visit. So he turns up, has his photo opportunities, and then leaves, completely disrespecting our veterans and the war heroes of everybody that attended. And you know why? He did it because he wanted to go for a pre-recorded interview where he doubles down on his proven lie. I mean, this man doesn't even deserve to be Prime Minister. It's not the fact that he doesn't have any political acumen, but the fact that he prioritises lying to the British public over spending an afternoon with war heroes. And another thing that bothers me is that he's pledging to send our young people on national service when he can't even be bothered to spend one afternoon with people who actually fought for our country. So I've got some clips for you. So first up is the Labour's response to it. Then Laura Kuenssberg, being the typical Tory shill she is, she swooped in and tried to downplay the whole situation, which then is followed up by the actual interview that he's left the D-Day ceremony for early, which is a small clip because I don't think it comes out until next week.
The Prime Minister saying it was a mistake not to stay in France longer and I apologise. What's your take?
Well, I'm glad he's apologised because it is absolutely a mistake. And it's not just the fact that the Prime Minister left those D-Day commemoration services, perhaps the last commemoration services for many of the veterans who attended, I mean, bear that in mind, but the reason why he left those services. He left, let's be clear, to come back and pre-record an interview where he doubled down on a proven lie about the Labour Party's intentions if it forms the next government. I think it's embarrassing. I think it's a shameful dereliction of duty. He's right to apologise, but the British public should ask themselves serious questions about a man who decides to make that decision in the first place.
What do you think drove him to make the decision?
You'd have to ask him. I have absolutely no idea, on such an important service, why the Prime Minister felt that it was appropriate to leave partway through that service. And I'm glad Keir Starmer, Labour leader, stayed at that service. Important chance not only to meet veterans, but to meet international leaders like President Macron, President Zelensky.
All that the weight of history in the pictures, and it's been very well choreographed by the French. But also, one of the things you notice, that one of the key moments when all the big world leaders were there, Rishi Sunak, Chris, wasn't there. David Cameron, the Foreign Secretary, was the sort of the pretend PM today.
Yeah, so Rishi Sunak has been involved in the various commemorations for much of the last couple of days, but wasn't there at that exact point when there were plenty of leaders sort of doing their thing and wandering about and saying a few things and meeting some of the veterans. And so, yeah, Lord Cameron, the Foreign Secretary, mingling with the French President and the German Chancellor and the US President and all the rest of it. And, yeah, Rishi Sunak at that point no longer there.
But I suppose, Laura, with Prime Ministers, duty calls all the time, and sometimes the duty isn't the kind of the world leader stuff.
Well, that's right. I mean, we should say he did make a speech today, so it's not like he sort of there for 5 minutes and then disappeared. But you're right, at some of the crucial sort of maximum moments of potent choreography, it was David Cameron who was actually there in his place. It's one of the things actually that Paddy is completely obsessed with this. We've talked about this a lot on the weekend newscast, that David Cameron, because of his former job, can sort of slip in and out of that role very, very easily. Some people might raise an eyebrow and say, oh, perhaps too easily. But, you know, as you say, actually, for prime ministers who are trying to run the country as well as run an election campaign, that is a challenge that they've got that actually the leader of the opposition doesn't have. And, you know, before too long, there's the G7 as well that I think the prime minister will be trying to cram in. And, you know, the small matter of still having to deal with red boxes and so on and so forth. But you're right, it does mean at this big moment of history, some of the snaps that we'll see in the papers tomorrow will not have the British current Prime Minister. They'll have the former Prime Minister. And I suppose there is something slightly awkward about that.
Are you willing to lie in order to stay in power?
No.
The Labour Party say you're a liar.
Yeah, I think it's pretty desperate stuff. And Keir Starmer and the Labour Party obviously very rattled that we've exposed their plans to raise tax on people. And that's what it demonstrates.
But your claim is dubious. You know it's dubious.
No, I don't. I think people know that I'm across the detail when it comes to numbers. The Chancellor gave a press conference on this very topic almost a month ago, where he laid out all the workings behind what we were saying. And I'm happy to go through it.
His permanent secretary at the Treasury said, do not use this to claim that civil servants have crunched these numbers.
No, that's not right.
That's the letter that's been published.
I can tell you exactly. I'm happy to go through it with you. There are 27 different policies that go into this number. 21 of them have been costed independently by Treasury officials. They're all online and people can find them. 2 of them come direct from the Labour Party, 3 of them from other public government sources, and 1 of them's from an independent investment bank. That's where all the workings come from.
Will you at least be upfront about the fact that this is based on Conservative advisers putting together the initial input?
No, what the analysis and the working is done by Treasury officials. They are
based
formal
on things that Conservative advisers have asked them to look at.
It's all transparent. It's all laid out online.
You're not being transparent now, Prime Minister.
People can go and read it online.
And if you actually think that it's going quite well for the Tories, well, I don't quite understand how. And even Johnny Mercer agrees it's not gone great. And you can see him being honest about it in the video that's on screen now. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, and I'll see you next time.